The second year of the Gather Round is here, so without further ado, this is my round 4 tips. Hello everybody, welcome back to another YouTube video right here on the Marchie.01 channel. As always guys, if you guys do end up enjoying the video, make sure you drop me a like, comment down below, join the community. It's going to be a bunch of fun this year. As it is over in Adelaide, I won't be going to any games. It's a bit too far away for me right now, but there is going to be a local game day vlog hopefully this Saturday, so yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's just get into it. Starting us off, on the Thursday night, we have Melbourne up against Adelaide. The Demons are proved last week that they can win away, especially at the Adelaide Oval. They beat Port in an absolute thriller. With the Crows, look, it's going to be tough. Like, they've had a pretty rough couple of weeks. They just haven't been able to just click forward to centre. Like, they're kicking inside 50. It's just been absolutely shocking. They do need a lift. And look, this is a game that they could potentially get up. Look, Stephen May is set to return. I think he's doing a fitness test, so that will also determine how this game goes, especially down back. He'll probably take Taylor Walker. Jake Lever will probably take Fogarty. Like, it's going to be a rough day probably for those forwards if May's able to get up. Yeah, honestly, I just think the D's just are in too good of a form right now just to lose. So I'm going to tip the Demons here to get the job done. I'm going to tip the Demons here by 24 points. Then we move on to the first one of our Friday night games. We have Brisbane up against North Melbourne. Now look, all these games are practically at neutral venues, so you could really do a coin flip who's going to win most of these games. But with this one, it's pretty easy, really. Like, North, look, they were pretty good against Carlton last week for a quarter, maybe even half, but North still have a lot of stuff to work out before they actually start being somewhat competitive. But as for the Brisbane Lions, they desperately need this win. If they lose against North, like, kiss top 4 goodbye. In order to make the top 4, you need to get the wins on the board early, and they haven't been able to do that this year, but a win here would just help them so much. Like I said, this one's practically a no-brainer. Brisbane should beat North quite comfortably. I'm going to have to tip the Lions here by 35 points. So we move on to our later Friday night game. We've got Port Adelaide up against Essendon. Now look, it is at the Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide always seem to play really well over here in Adelaide. We've shown last week that you can beat them down here. The Bombers have really surprised me this year, just with the fact that they've been able to actually put on a decent score, and their defence has actually been able to hold up really well. And their midfield is just humming along quite nicely. Parrish came back last week and had an impact. Nick Martin had an absolutely unreal game last week. He had over 40, I think it was over 45 disposals. So unreal game from him. Yeah, at the moment, I think Port, their set shot in front of goals at the moment just has me worried a bit. I feel like if they can't nail down their set shots and Essendon are able to capitalise, I think Essendon actually might cause an upset here. Like, Essendon have shown to be pretty accurate in front of goals. The Bombers do need everything to go right, and I reckon that could possibly happen. I'm going to tip an upset here and tip the Bombers to get it done in a close one by 12 points. And on Saturday, we move over to Adelaide Hills. We have got the West Coast Eagles up against the Sydney Swans. And the Eagles, last week against the Dogs, look, they were competitive for the first 15 minutes, really, and then the Dogs just ran over the top of them. As most teams will this year, the Eagles, they are going to struggle again this year. Look, they can win it in the midfield, but once they dish it out, they're kicking inside 50, and just their overall game plan, it's terrible. Now, as for the Swans, they were very unlucky to lose against the Tigers last week. The Tigers just seemed to want the win more, but look, the Swans eventually were going to lose, and might as well lose earlier in the season so you can make some changes, fix some things up, so when the pointy end of the season comes, you're able to just go. And look, the Swans, they're a great team for a reason. There's a reason that they're probably going to finish top 4. The likes of Heaney, Warner, Gordon, Campbell, they're absolutely stacked across the board. Amadi and Logan McDonald this year have shown to be a great 1-2 duo. At least one of them is going to kick over 4 goals. Like, it'd have to be either them or Tom Papley. Like, Papley's due to kick a bag, I reckon. Yeah, this one's a no-brainer. But look, if the West Coast Eagles pull it off, like, I don't see it, but if they do, wow. But yeah, I'm going to have to tip the Swans here to get it done quite comfortably. I'm going to tip Sydney here by 44 points. It sets up to be an absolute classic. We've got Fremantle up against Carlton. Now look, both teams, I'm pretty sure both teams are undefeated right now. So look, I don't think both teams want to lose. But it's a bit of a danger game for both sides. Like Carlton, they're in absolutely ripping form at the moment. Both their key forwards, Curnow, Mackay, especially Mackay, his set shot kicking this year has been absolutely unreal. And Curnow, we all know what Charlie Curnow does. He's the back-to-back Coleman medalist for a reason. Like he's he's absolutely unreal. His contested marking, like he's so athletic, the way that he runs and jumps at the ball. If he gets a good run and jump at it with no defender, it is very hard to defend that. Like he's amazing. They've got the Wiedering was back last week, which definitely helped them out a lot in defence, and yeah, it definitely showed. Like he's a general down there. He's the glue really that holds that Carlton back line together. As for the Dockers, again, another team that surprised me this year. I thought they were going to be shocking at the start of the season. The pre-season showed that they pretty much were going to have the same game plan as last year. But look, they've put a lot more speed on the ball, especially when they're on the attack from the turnover. Their ball movement seems really slick. Like they want to take that ball inside the middle and just be dangerous with it, like play risky footy, and it seems to work out really well. Luke Jackson is having an absolutely unreal start to the season. Like right now, he's probably the top 3 ruckman in the league. The things that he can do, especially at ground level for a big guy, it's insane. The midfield of Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong, Hayden Young, you chuck in Nat Fife in there. They're just absolutely playing some unreal football at the moment, the Dockers. And yeah, look, I reckon the Blues are an extremely good side. They're probably going to finish around that top 4 mark for sure. But look, I think Fremantle just might actually get the job done. Like I don't know why I'm going to tip this. I'm probably going to get this wrong. But look, I need to pick some more danger games, because last week showed that you can pick the favourites, but they're not guaranteed to win. Like last week, I think I got 4. I got 4 out of 8, which was terrible. So I need to pick some upsets here. I'm going to tip the Dockers to get the job done by 21 points. Moving on to our last Saturday game, we've got the Western Bulldogs up against Geelong. Now look, both teams are coming off great wins from the week before. Now, the Bulldogs, they absolutely smashed the Eagles last week, made it look like a training drill at times, and they seem to have their handball game just absolutely on point at the moment. As you all know, I was there watching it. Like some of those handball chains were absolutely insane. Like they'd start from the back pocket, they'd just aggressively handball, and they were carving the Eagles up like it was a training drill. It was absolutely unreal. Aaron Norton had a great game. Tim English had a superb game. And, the Bont, we all know what the Bont does. The Bont is absolutely amazing. Now, as for the Cats, they had a great win against the Hawks last week on the Easter Monday. Tommy Hawkins, Jezza Cameron bopped up and kicked a couple. But it's good to see the youth of the Cats actually come and actually show up. Like, Tanner Bruin's playing some pretty good footy. Ollie Dempsey's come out of nowhere. Ollie Henry up forward as well. Like he's playing some pretty underrated footy. You got Max Holmes off half back, who's an absolutely unreal kick of the footy. Down back, obviously you can't forget Tom Stewart. He's the best defender in the league at the moment, I reckon. I reckon the Cats forwards are just gonna be too much for the Dogs forwards. Like Liam Jones is a great defender. Buku Karmas is coming along quite well. When you have to defend Jeremy Cameron and Tom Hawkins, and then on top of that, like I said, you've got Henry, Dempsey, who both can fly at the football, and you got Stengel as well, and you got Close there. It's a very dangerous forward line, and I reckon the Cats will just be too good for the Dogs. So I'm going to tip the Cats here to get the job done. I'm going to tip the Cats by 26 points. At the battle of the expansion clubs, we've got Gold Coast up against GWS. Both teams are coming off the bye, so we don't know how both teams are going to be. But look, the Suns were pretty disappointing against the Dogs over at Mars. I thought they were going to win that game. They just seemed off. Like I don't know whether it's because they were playing away from the Gold Coast. But they've shown, especially at home, that they can play some great football. So they just need to bring that game plan and just execute it when they play away. So this morning they're going to have 3 more debutants play, so they're bleeding in all this young talent, even though they're already stacked across the board. So it's going to be bloody awesome to see these kids. As for the Giants, what more can be said? They are the team to beat at the moment. They are playing some absolutely unreal football. The likes of that midfield is, you got Tom Green, you got Cornelio, Kelly, Max, Sam Taylor. Look, I know I said Tom Stewart's probably the best defender in the league, but Sam Taylor is up there as well. Like you can pick and choose between those two. It's very hard. Up forward, Toby Green hasn't had too much of an impact up forward this year, but he hasn't really had to because Jesse Hogan, Jake Riccardi, both been having some really great seasons. Callum Brown's come out of nowhere, and the other smalls of Daniels, Bedford, it's just Toby Green doesn't have to play a huge game up forward. Like he mainly now just sets them up. And if Toby Green actually does have a day out, like it's a pretty unstoppable forward line. So look, I reckon the Giants I think they will get the job done. They are the benchmark for a reason. But look, I reckon it's going to be a really close game. These sides, I know in the past when they have played each other, it's been some pretty close games. So I'm going to tip the Giants here, only just to get it done by 3 points. Moving on, we have got Richmond up against St Kilda. Now look, Richmond, we all know, I know, we had an amazing win last week against the Swans. To to be honest, I expected us to go there and lose by at least over 60 points. But the fact that we were able to play 4 full quarters and go on and win that game in an absolute thriller, unreal effort by the boys. Especially our young kids like Jack Ross, Tyler Sonzi, Tyler Young down back, and the likes of Bolton, Baker, the usuals. Nick Voston, the veterans are stepping up. Tommy Lynch had a great game as well. But yeah, at the moment, we are absolutely decimated with injuries right now. Obviously, no Prestia, no Martin, now no Lynch, no Bolter, no Grimes. Like it's pretty dire down back and up forward right now. It's great to get the win, but at the cost of those key players, it was not great to happen, especially when we're coming up against St Kilda, who usually seem to torch us in the last couple of years. The Saints are going to have Max King again this week, so he's due to kick a bag, I reckon. The Saints, they were pretty disappointing last week. They should have won that game against Essendon, but some of their ball movement, especially in that second half, was un-St Kilda like. Usually they love to put speed on the ball, but they were playing really slow, kicking it long down the line, and yeah, the Bombers were just able to capitalise. And they missed some really crucial set shots. Ross Lyon, he would have definitely used that as fuel into this week, and I reckon they'll kick a lot straighter this week for sure. If Richmond had at least Lynch or Bolter, I would have given us a chance. But the fact that we don't have neither of them, bringing either Samson Ryan or Kaczynski, and look, they're both still young, developing players, so yeah, I don't expect us to win. I hope we're competitive, but yes, I reckon the Saints will get the job done quite comfortably. Going to tip the Saints here by 26 points. Then we move on to the last game of Gather Round. Hopefully it's a classic. We've got Collingwood up against Hawthorn. Now look, the Pies, they seem to find their mojo back right now. Last week, they beat the Lions at the Gabba, which is never an easy task. They seem to get their turnover game going at the moment. It's not like what it was last year, but there's signs of it coming all together now. Yeah, because we all know when Collingwood and their turnover game are on point, it is very hard to stop them. Darcy Moore had a great game last week. Jeremy Howe, the back six stood up really well. Up forward as well. Myercheck kicked a couple. Bobby Hill, aka Norman Smith, turned back the clock to the grand final and was just turned the game on its head already in the first quarter. He had 3. That was unreal. And look, as for the Hawks, they had a pretty disappointing game against the Cats last week. Look, they were pretty competitive for for 2 quarters really, but those other 2, they were pretty hit and miss. But look, they are still a young developing side, but they just need a couple more of these young kids just to keep coming through, keep getting games into them. And yeah, they're going to be better for the long run. But yeah, I don't see Hawthorn winning this one, unfortunately. I think the Pies, they're just starting to click right now at the right time. I reckon the Hawks will be quite competitive this week. But yeah, I reckon the Pies will just do enough to get it done. Tip Collingwood by 21 points. And that was my tips. Thank you guys all for sticking around and watching the video. And yeah, as always, if you guys did end up enjoying the video, make sure to drop me a like, subscribe, comment down below, join this awesome community that I'm growing within the AFL community. And yeah, I will see you guys hopefully at the end of the week in my game day vlog. Cheers.